Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhan Hari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanandi. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Tri Vrajaka Charya Stotara Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Harinama Sankirtana ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Dainitai Gauda Pimanandi. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Sarakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganam Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 10, entitled Departure of Lord Kṛṣṇa for Dvārakā. Today, looking at text number 3. Yes. Niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ śaśāsa gam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ śaśāsa gam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ śaśāsa gam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ śaśāsa gam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ śaśāsa gam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ. Bolo, bolo.
niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ
niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ.
niśamya bhīṣmoktam
niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ.
niśamya bhīṣmoktam
niśamya bhīṣmoktam
athācyutoktaṁ
athācyutoktaṁ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ.
niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ
niśamya bhīṣmoktam athācyutoktaṁ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
pravṛtta-vijñāna-vidhūta-vibhramaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
śaśāsagam indra ivājitāśrayaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ
paridhyupāntām anujānuvartitaḥ. Niśamya. After listening Bhīṣmoktam, what was spoken by Bhīṣmadeva, atha, as also athācyutoktaṁ, what was spoken by the infallible Lord Kṛṣṇa, pravṛtta, being engaged in vijñāna, perfect knowledge, vidhūta, completely washed. Same person? Okay. Vibhramaḥ, just go to, confirm. All misgivings, śaśāsa, ruled over, gam, the earth, indra, the king of the heavenly planet, iva, like, athācyutoktaṁ, protected by the invincible Lord, paridhyupāntām, including the seas, anuja, the younger anuja, the younger brothers, anuvartitaḥ, being followed by them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sridham Prabhupada ki. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhīṣmadeva and Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge, because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas, and was followed by his younger brothers. Kindly repeat after me. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira,
Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira,
after being enlightened
after being enlightened
by what was spoken
by what was spoken
by Bhīṣmadeva
by Bhīṣmadeva
and Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa,
and Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa,
the infallible,
the infallible,
engaged himself
engaged himself
in matters of perfect knowledge,
in matters of perfect knowledge,
because all his misgivings
because all his misgivings
were eradicated.
were eradicated.
Thus he ruled over the earth
Thus he ruled over the world
and seas,
and seas,
and was followed by
and was followed by
his younger brothers.
his younger brother.
Purport. The modern English law of primogeniture, or the law of inheritance by the firstborn, was also prevalent in those days when Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira ruled the earth and seas. In those days, the king of Hastinapura, now part of New Delhi, was the emperor of the world, including the seas, up to the time of Mahārāja Parikshit, the grandson of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira's younger brothers were acting as his ministers and the commanders of state, and there was full cooperation between the perfectly religious brothers of the king. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was the ideal king or representative of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa to rule over the kingdom of earth, and was comparable to King Indra, the representative ruler of the heavenly planets. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and Vayu are representative kings of different planets of the universe. And similarly, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was also one of them, ruling over the kingdom of the earth. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was not a typically unenlightened political leader of modern democracy. Oh, touché. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was instructed by Bhīṣmadeva and the infallible Lord also, and therefore he had full knowledge of everything in perfection. The Vedic culture is teaching us that there is such a thing as perfect knowledge, that there is such a thing as absolute truth, isn't it? Whereas modern understanding, and that is especially prevalent in educational institutions, colleges, and especially universities, that there is no such thing as the absolute truth. We can only acquire knowledge based on the present situation, and some additional knowledge may be coming later on. So this is a unique and very important feature of Vedic knowledge and Vedic literatures and Vedic lifestyle. Just like in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, Narada Muni is speaking about perfect society, isn't it? Perfect society, perfect ideal family life like that. So because Kṛṣṇa is that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the infallible, who is the source of all knowledge, of all perfect and complete knowledge, both spiritual and material, therefore anyone who, like Grandfather Bhīṣmadeva, who also receives this knowledge, therefore becomes an authority, and anyone who hears from such personalities, if the message is unchanged, also receives perfect knowledge. He's going to carry on with his whatever.
Yesterday at 5 p.m. we will go to choose the tiles.
Okay. So we just read the first paragraph, waiting for you to read the second paragraph of the purport. So this is a very important point which is being mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, is that, well, a number of things he mentions here. The primogenitor, it's not a word we use or hear very often, but it's the law of inheritance. So we see this especially in royal family. Even in modern day society, the eldest son is like the one who generally takes on the responsibility of the father's away, or the father actually passes away. And so this was followed. This actually comes from, we could say, the Vedic practice or Vedic culture. The eldest son, in this case, Yudhiṣṭhira Mahārāja, he became not only a king or the king, but he became the emperor. So this is an interesting concept also, that the planet Earth is meant to be ruled. It is meant to be under one kingdom, one main kingdom. There are many small kingdoms, just like in any country. Here in India we have states. In Canada we have provinces. So either state or provinces, there are many ministers. They call CM, Chief Minister. But there is only one PM, Prime Minister. So amongst the ministers, one becomes prominent, one becomes prime minister. So this is, there's a whole very elaborate, very detailed, very systematic process and knowledge which is given, again, in our Vedic literatures to actually establish such type of leadership within society. So Prabhupada mentions about modern democracy as being what? Typically unenlightened. There's enlightened, conscious, and unenlightened, unconscious. Or in other words, is like blind. What happens if we follow the blind? We fall in a ditch. So unless one is leading based on the proper knowledge, not proper knowledge means actually perfect knowledge. So we believe that there is such a thing as perfect knowledge, and that perfect knowledge is possible when we accept and understand that there is a perfect person, Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada continues in the next second and final paragraph of the purport. The modern elected executive head of a state is just like a puppet because he has no kingly power. Quite a strong statement. Even if he is enlightened, like Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, he cannot do anything out of his own goodwill due to his constitutional position. Therefore, there are so many states over the world, over the earth, quarreling because of ideological differences or other selfish motives. But a king like Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira had no ideology of his own. That's important. We follow the ideology or philosophy that is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore there's no room for mental speculation. He had but to follow the instructions of the infallible Lord and the Lord's representative and the authorized agent, in this case, Bhīṣmadeva. It is instructed in the Shastras that one should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. Therefore, it was possible for Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira to rule the whole world, including the seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. That's the problem. Because an imperfect human being is imperfect. So whatever ideology he creates will be at some point not accepted by another imperfect human being. Only the perfect and the infallible can create a program which is acceptable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. That's the meaning of Sanatan Dharma, isn't it? It is Sanatan, it is eternal. That's why, in many ways, it's so much easier to learn something that is perfect because it won't change. It won't be adulterated. That is the beauty of Vedic culture and Vedic knowledge. Once we grasp, once we understand this perfect knowledge and some of the, we could say, underlying principles, then because they are universal principles, they can be introduced and applied everywhere, isn't it? Therefore, the importance of the Vedic knowledge. It is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. Haribol. Prabhupada is being quite direct, as we should be. That is the law of nature. There are so many stories of imperfect kings or executive heads. Therefore, the executive head must be a trained person, like Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. And he must have the full autocratic power to rule over the world. The conception of a world state can take shape only under the regime of a perfect king, like Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira to rule over the world. Translation again, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhīṣmadeva and Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge. Engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus, he ruled over the earth and seas and was followed by his younger brothers. So this is setting we could say, the scene for further descriptions that are coming in the chapter, beginning from the very next text, where it will be explaining what are the signs and what happens when we have such type of perfect leader. What happens when the principles of Dharma are upheld by a qualified king, and what is the condition of the citizens, what is the condition of Mother Earth, what is the condition of the cows, etc. So that is, until and unless in countries around the world such type of governance is established, there will be what we are experiencing today all over the world, and therefore it is very important for all Krishna conscious devotees to understand how not only are we striving for our own individual personal advancement in Krishna consciousness, but there is also a plan in terms of introducing, we could say, a world government, which is based actually on this very important knowledge. And as we all know, this was the vision of Srila Prabhupada and of all the previous acharyas as well. We need to cultivate this type of knowledge. We need to train our own children in this whole Vedic way of living, this whole Vedic concept. And so therefore, here we're talking about politics, isn't it? So there's a whole science which is referred to in, what is the word for politics in Sanskrit?
Politics.
Dandaniti.
Dandaniti.
You are
Dandaniti, not politics.
Yes, the science of Rajniti and Dandaniti, they're similar, same. So Dandaniti is used by Chanakya in his Kautilya Arthashastra. Danda, what is the meaning of danda?
Danda means punish.
Punish, yes. That's why sannyasis carry a danda. To punish those who are ignorant about spiritual, So danda, it's called, translated as the rod of chastisement. Common, ordinary people need to know that if I go astray, I will be punished. Otherwise, we won't follow the signs on the highway, right? We'll speed and whatever. So, for any kingdom, there needs to be a powerful personality who has this type of knowledge and who will therefore be, somebody was just reading the description. when a king who is qualified king walks amongst the mass of people, they are cheering him because he's our king, he's protecting us. So they see him as their protector and their savior. But if within the mass of people there are thieves and people who are not following, they fear they fear that person because they know that if they get caught, they will be severely punished. So one of the purposes of the Krishna consciousness movement actually is to give that type of knowledge, education, and training for creating this type of society, isn't it? The whole Bhagavatam is whether it's practically in all the pages of the Bhagavatam, it's referring to the need for reestablishing what in Christianity is generally referred to as the kingdom of God, isn't it? So it is possible, it is very much possible, desirable, and as Prabhupada mentions, this will also be elaborated upon in the verses to come. When such a situation exists, then it's like if you have a qualified, small example, if you have a father in the family, let's say with many children, and who is a very responsible father, who is maintaining, providing, everyone in the family is satisfied, is happy. And the opposite is there. When the father is irresponsible, when he's not properly, then naturally everyone is in fear and anxiety. So therefore, although at present there is democracy, we should know that Vedic culture is based on a political system, because politics we cannot avoid politics. Politics have to do with how society is organized and arranged. So that means that some individuals need to study the science of politics. Actually, it is one of the four Vedic sciences that we will be introducing when we are giving courses in connection with Varnashrama. We cannot avoid politics, but there is such a thing as perfect politics, based on the perfect knowledge that is coming. So again, therefore the importance of focusing our learning, focusing our different subject matters or our curriculum. When we speak of education, when we speak of educational institutions, whether they are Gurukul or university, whatever it may be, the foundation, the basic knowledge should be from our Vedic sources, and therefore also the importance of some individuals learning Sanskrit, because most of this knowledge is like still in Sanskrit. There are many Vedic literatures, even recent writings of our Goswamis, isn't it? One of our sannyasis was mentioning maybe last year sometime that he was spending time in Braj, in Vrindavan, and he doesn't know Sanskrit himself, but he had hired some or engaged some devotees to actually help translate. In other words, there's still so much hidden information that is there, which which is helpful and essential for us to properly reintroduce, let's say, Vedic culture. Of course, the essence of that Vedic knowledge, fortunately, we are receiving. The essence is in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the four main books of knowledge that Prabhupada has given us. What are those 4 books of knowledge? Bhagavad Gita, yes, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, in the different level of culminating actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In addition to that, there are many other. In other words, we need to first focus and concentrate on these literatures. Once we have basic understanding, basic knowledge, then we can more easily, more effectively, let's say, look or study other knowledge. Just like one devotee, I believe from Australia, has been studying what is called, what's it called? Generally we speak about Vedic cosmology. He specializes in what is called Vedic geography. Vedic geography. And most of that knowledge, most of the information on Vedic geography is actually not in the Bhagavatam. Some things are there, but the Bhagavatam, because it's mainly focused on Bhakti, so he actually was able to, by looking at different Puranas, different Vedic literatures, to identify actually by the description that is given in those Shastra, the different continents, the different islands, because basically we have, how many continents? 6 continents. 7. They all have a particular shape, and they're surrounded by ocean. So the detailed descriptions of these actually is given in the Shastra, but it may not always correspond to what we see today, because there are changes that take place, major changes at times that take place, which, for example, some years back when I was visiting in Indonesia on the island of Java, a little course on geography here, the island of Java is where actually Bhima actually came there, married one local princess, I believe. And on the island of Java, which is like the most populated of all the islands, it has over 100 million people. So it's not so small island, but not the biggest also of Indonesia. But they have mountains that they call like Mount Meru, Mount Arjuna. And we visited with one of the devotees there, Indonesian, one ashram. They call the persons who are like head of the ashram, they call them Romo. It's like guru, right? And quite learned. And he was actually telling that many years ago, from Indonesia, there was a land connection. There are many theories that are there, even you can follow different documentaries. So he was telling that there was a land connection between Indonesia, what we know today as Indonesia, and India. And he was telling that actually the Vedas were written in Indonesia. He was quite serious about it, and he was identifying different mountains, some of which were being referred to in different Shastras. And like this, there are, just like, where is Sri Lanka? You know, we know Sri Lanka being close to India, but according to some, actually Sri Lanka is under the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. So so there's the devotee coming back to the Vedic geography. Of course, we can get lost in these things, and learning Vedic geography is not really the Yuga Dharma for the age of Kali. But it can help us understand how so much information which is there in the Shastra, how it corresponds with, our planet, and some of that information can be useful. For example, this particular devotee has made a few videos. I can give you the reference later on. It's quite interesting. To just, we could say, prove and establish that what is written in the Shastra is actually true. They're vivid descriptions. And he mentions so many of them. Actually, even the names, some of the names are still traceable to, thousands of years before. And therefore, it's just touching the point that Prabhupada is making here, how Vedic knowledge is perfect knowledge when it is received by individuals who are not changing, isn't it? By individuals who are qualified to receive that knowledge. That is why Prabhupada, with full confidence, would be speaking and making so many different statements. Just like one time also in Australia, when Prabhupada was lecturing, sometimes he would ask for questions, and somebody was mentioning, yeah, how this is possible, so many thousands and millions of years and this and that. And then Prabhupada was just telling him, what do you know? I mean, our life is very short, and our knowledge is also very limited. And Vedic knowledge has been existing since time immemorial, has been accepted by so many different great scholars, great scientists, great personalities over the centuries, and therefore, who are we to say that this is not true, isn't it? It may be beyond our understanding, beyond our imagination. That's the whole subject matter, for example, of the fifth canto. Prabhupada actually, he mentioned that when the fifth canto, because in the fifth canto, the cosmology, fifth canto deals especially with cosmology. So Prabhupada said, when the fifth canto will be published, many devotees will leave. Yeah, but Srila Prabhupada was always, that's why he was so strong in his statements, and that is also why he wanted that here in Sridham Mayapur we establish the Temple of Vedic Planetarium to actually demonstrate, to give a replica so that people can actually see what is being described in the fifth canto of the Bhagavatam. And in this way, actually to challenge the scientists, which are just, changing their theories practically every other day, isn't it? They only discovered, Pluto, just in the 20th century. I mean, Pluto's been around, it's always been around, but they have very limited, it's very fascinating what they present and whatnot, but their knowledge is very, very imperfect, very limited as well. And therefore Prabhupada was always having that basic, very clear understanding that, which is being pointed out here, Kṛṣṇa, if we believe in Kṛṣṇa as being God, as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, obviously whatever that person will speak, whatever knowledge he will give, that will be perfect, isn't it? So until and unless we accept that there is such a thing as perfect knowledge, who is it? One of the books written by Gandhiji is entitled My Experiments with the Absolute Truth. How you can experiment with the Absolute Truth. If the Absolute Truth is absolute, there's no question of experimenting. You either accept it or you reject it. So that is the defect. This is also pointed out here. For someone to actually receive the Absolute Truth, one must accept an authority. One must receive that knowledge in Guru Parampara. And therefore, disciplic succession is a fundamental, essential feature that is also stressed and underlined. That's 7 bells. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So any maybe comments or questions on this verse? Yes.
What to do when we are reading the scriptures? For example, Bhagavatam 5th canto.
When we are reading Bhagavatam, like 5th canto.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have some doubts, and our faith is not enough to accept some things. We have to just continue, just leave such kind of things, or we have to try to clarify from some authorities.
So the question is, when we read certain sections of the Bhagavatam, like the 5th canto, and where we have doubts and where maybe our faith is not as strong, so do we just continue reading or do we consult with some authority? That's the question. We do both. We can consult with senior devotees, and we should also continue reading, knowing that the Bhagavatam, is the foremost of all the Vedic literatures, and when we read some of the commentaries of these great authorities, means our Vaishnavacharyas, their knowledge was, and so we have a whole list, we have a whole family of such persons. Now, not everything possibly that we may come across, we may be immediately able to get the full kind of understanding, but the minimum, the minimum is that we should know that all of these very exalted, very learned, very intelligent personalities, and from the very statement of Arjuna also in the Bhagavad Gita, who says, I accept you, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, that verse, and following that verse, Arjuna is telling, so many great personalities before have accepted you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, at least on that basis, theoretically, even though we cannot with our tiny brain and limited, ability to perceive things, theoretically we can, at least on that basis, accept that, well, if it's been accepted by such great personalities, then even though I cannot fully comprehend or understand the subject matter, it's not a major problem. Yeah. When Kṛṣṇa is described as being inconceivable, even so many things about this planet are inconceivable to our limited understanding or limited perception. So we can consult. I mean, we have scientists amongst our devotees. We had one of our great scientists, Sariputta Prabhu. Actually, there's some of his books are there where he was specializing actually in the fifth canto, you know. And we have a number of devotees who have written. Danavir Mahārāja, I have one of those books on cosmology here actually. He's written a number of books. And when we read there, you know, that's consulting with authorities, devotees who are who have studied the subject matter more deeply. And we have a number of such scientist devotees who can, when we read their explanation, their presentation, they can help us grasp what we initially cannot understand. Yeah. So in other words, we should have that basic understanding, basic shraddha, basic faith, that this knowledge, which is the foundation of what we call Sanatana Dharma. So Sanatana Dharma, by the very word, it means it's been around for a long time, since eternity. Sanatan, yeah. So, so with that understanding, we can and should consult with persons who have a more clear and more deep understanding on the subject matter. I was in Montreal actually when Prabhupada was discussing the fifth canto of the Bhagavatam. He was not discussing with me. I was a new bhakta. But we had gone to the apartment where Prabhupada was living, close to the Montreal temple. Prabhupada was living in the temple president, his apartment. He had moved out, you know, to allow Prabhupada. And we were all, you know, by the door. I mean, not by the door, but we're trying to hear. The door was open, and you know, the sannyasis and the few GBCs were there with Prabhupada, and they were discussing the fifth canto. And we were, you know, all the new bhaktas, you know, trying to get every single word. And then at one point I remember Prabhupada was telling, and what I have written here is not, is based on realization. In other words, those who are self-realized, they understand things both based on Shastra and also on revealed knowledge. Revelation. So it's not that everything that Prabhupada wrote was based on revelation, but I remember that very vividly. I don't know if that was recorded or not, because many conversations were recorded, but also many were not, and some have been lost also. Anyways, so in other words, personalities, you know, our acharyas, they are on that level that they know so much about Shastra. They've studied for so many years, and also because they are in that purified level of consciousness, then Kṛṣṇa can reveal things to them. You know, that's the whole first canto, second chapter. What is it? 1, 2. We were just asking. Evam prasana manaso. 19. 20.
1 to 20. 1 to 20.
1 to 20. 1 to 20. Yeah. Just remember 1 and 20. 1 to 20. So yeah, evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijñānam. This is vijñānam. Vijñānam means realized knowledge. So that realized knowledge that is Kṛṣṇa that is giving us that knowledge. Kṛṣṇa will only give us realized knowledge when we deserve it, when we're ready for it, isn't it? Yeah. So it means that first we have to come to the mode of goodness, we have to engage in devotional service, we have to somehow attract Kṛṣṇa's attention. We have to attack Kṛṣṇa's, ultimately his mercy, his kripa, without which we cannot do anything.
When I was firstly read about the Vedic cosmology,
Ah,
I am amazed that the earth we are thinking that is round and circular, it is not like that. I read first time in the boss book.
in the which? Oh, okay, yeah.
It is very mind heart touching when he starts from Bhumandal and Jambudvip and goes to the spiritual world Golok
Yes.
to the Kṛṣṇa.
Yes.
It's very heart touching, and many of the devotees are, after reading that,
Yes.
they got realized that Kṛṣṇa is the supreme personality.
Yes.
Then I
Yes.
got amazed.
I mean, the whole material, the whole material creation itself is like beyond our, our more the passion is kicking in. So I think we have to. Anyways, we normally close at this time. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Gaur Premanand.